Alright, in this video we will be given a factor and we're going to see if that given factor is a factor of a given polynomial. And what I mean by that is here's an example. We're given this function f of x equals 2x to the fourth plus 3x squared minus 5x plus 7. And it says determine whether x minus 1 is a factor. And so our first step here would be to say, okay, well if x minus 1 is a factor, what is the root associated with that factor? What is the root? And in this case, the root that's associated with the factor x minus 1 is 1. It would be the value of x that makes this factor 0. And if I put a 1 in there, 1 minus 1 is 1. So that means what we're going to do is we're just going to do synthetic division using a 1. So I'm just going to take 2, 3, negative 5, and 7. I'm not going to really go into the ins and outs of synthetic division in this video, but I have that in other videos if you want to watch that. So 2 times 1 is 2. Add straight down and get 5. 5 times 1 is 5. Add straight down and get 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Add straight down and get 7. Because the remainder is not 0, that means x minus 1 is not a factor of f of x. So basically what we've just established here, since 1 is not a root of this function, 1 is not an x-intercept of this graph, that means x minus 1 is not a factor. If we had done all this and it had resulted in a remainder of 0, that would mean that 1 is a root of the function and that x minus 1 is a factor. Let's do another example. So here we have a second example. We've got the same factor that we're trying to determine if this is a factor of this g of x polynomial. And so we're going to really play the game the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do some long division. We have 3, negative 2, 1, because that's like a 1 right there. Negative 8, 5, and 1. This is a long polynomial. I hope I don't make a simple mistake. But since my factor is x minus 1, the root that's related to that factor, or the 0 that's related to that factor, would be 1. So let's do our synthetic division. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I add straight down and get 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Add straight down and get 2. 2 times 1 is 2. Add straight down and get negative 6. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Add straight down and get negative 1. And negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. I add straight down and I get 0. Now we have a remainder that is 0. Or in other words, there is no remainder. Therefore, okay, x minus 1 is a factor of g of x.